Welcome to the new season, Volume 2 of Crown Level Confidence Podcast. I'm Kalia Janae, your dedicated host. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, certified life coach, and motivational speaker. I've got a background in humanities, communication, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. This podcast is your go-to source for empowerment and to inspire your journey toward unshakable confidence and fortified self-belief. In this volume, I'm bringing you fresh conversations and uplifting stories from incredible individuals who have overcome many obstacles in their lives and still achieved greatness. Get ready to elevate your mindset, embrace your power, and shine like the star you are. Let's embark on this journey together and straighten up your crown. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, welcome to this newest episode of Crown Level Confidence, where we are leading women worldwide to lower their stress and raise their levels of confidence. I am Kalia Janae, your favorite podcast host, and I'm so excited to bring you yet another phenomenal woman so we can have a great candid conversation. Y'all, please give it up for my new virtual girlfriend, Julie Duncan. Julie, say hey.
Hey, nice to meet everybody. I'm so happy to be here, Kalia.
Thank you, Julie. Yes. So I know a little bit about Julie, but let me let you in on how great Julie really is. Julie lives with her husband of over 25 years, who have been a constant source of support in all her ventures. Aww. They have 2 young children, and becoming empty nesters in the past year has given them the joy of watching their kids grow into wonderful humans. Julie is the owner of Empowering Life Coaching and Consulting, LLC, where she has been working in the coaching space for the past year, following a natural transition from her background in counseling psychology. Recently, she fulfilled a lifelong dream by co-authoring a book with Les Brown. In her chapter, Coming Full Square, Julie shares her inspiring journey from being told she wasn't college material to earning a master's degree and becoming an entrepreneur. Wow. All right, y'all. Again, join me in welcoming Julie as she shares her inspiring story with us today. That's how you do that, Julie. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
Tell us. Yes, that's an action-packed nugget of description, and obviously we can't capture you all in one statement, but how did you get here? I'm sure there's some things from your childhood, like all of us, right, that kind of shaped you into the woman you are today. Do you want to kind of give us some insight as to how you're able to come full square, like you talk about in your book?
I would love to. Thank you so much for that introduction. Well, it hasn't been easy. I don't think any entrepreneur has an easy, smooth sailing path, right? We all have ebbs and flows. So my story is definitely full of some ebb and flows along the way. But, I always say, I think I was born hungry. And I don't mean, for milk in a bottle. I mean, just like always hungry for more. I grew up with, parents that loved me very much. I had wonderful grandparents, and that was all great. But there were some things. I mean, my parents were divorced 5 times collectively.
Wow.
And there were times of marriage and times of single parenting, right? And I always spent the time of single parenting with my mom. And I always felt as if there was a climate of not enough. And that might have been economically, that might have been socially, that might have been culturally. But there was this feeling of we weren't always real connected with church, a strong community. Money was often scarce as a single mother. So I really internalized that. And I grew up in a very small town in Pennsylvania, which I have much admiration for, always have. But I always had this feeling inside that I wanted more. And as Les Brown says, we have to be hungry. And I look back and I think, my gosh, I was born hungry. And and unfortunately, it was kind of born out of a lot of limiting beliefs about the world around me, and also that I had internalized, unfortunately, about myself. Mm-hmm. So those started to play out as they do, right? Mm-hmm. As a teenager, as a child. And gosh, how did I get here? It's been a journey, because I really had a feeling of, didn't have a lot of self-confidence. I didn't have a lot of self-esteem. I grew up with, because of how I felt on the inside of never being enough, the 2 things that I think I adopted were perfectionism and imposter syndrome. Ooh. And those can be very, very painful when you feel like you're wearing a mask and everything always has to be perfect and you're never matching up, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how I felt. And it was very painful. but I masked it.
Mm-hmm.
I wore a mask at a young age, and that's like hard to be totally transparent about, but it's so very true. And I imagine many of your listeners can relate to that because I think that's
Oh,
what we
yeah.
do.
I'm listener zero. Okay, I talk about perfectionism all the time. So yes, you're in the right spot, Julie.
I would say now I'm a recovering perfectionist because I don't know if we ever fully get
I
rid
know,
of that,
right?
but we need to recover from it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, two of my biggest challenges with all of this inside of me and the mask I was wearing, the veil really came off because I had two pivotal moments when I was a high school senior. I was age 17. What happened was there was a knock on the door, 2, 3 in the morning, and my brother was home from the Air Force. He was a serviceman. He was been in about a year. He was 20. I was 17. And that's never a good thing when you have a knock on the door in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
So my mother opens the door and I'm standing there and we get the news that my brother was killed in a triple fatality car accident. And one of my closest friends' brother was driving the car. Because they were all friends. It was a very small town. Everybody's friends with everybody, right? So I was I had a lot of friends that were siblings of my brother's friends, not uncommon. And it was devastating.
Devastating.
Completely. And you know what I found? That oftentimes in times of severe grief, insurmountable grief, that the veil can come down and you can start to see some internal things that you had been masking and covering up. So I'm 17 years old and some of that stuff's coming to fruition. It's like I was just filled with so much guilt, but oh my goodness, like never being enough. And none of my friends had lost a brother before, and I just didn't even know what to do with myself. So that was incident number one where I felt like the veil was starting to come down because I wasn't perfect and I had been an imposter for a long, long time trying to cover up the lack of self-esteem, confidence, etc. And then 3 months later, fast forward, I only had one plan. That was to go to college. My grandmother had gone, Great Depression. She had rode a train from rural America in Pennsylvania to Penn State University, which was Penn State Teachers College at the time, and earned her 4-year degree. And she did it during the Great Depression by herself.
Wow.
And her mother had died at age 3. So her rural farmer father raised 7 kids. Somehow she navigated this journey of going to Penn State by herself. I can't even imagine it. With no internet, how do you even get an application?
Right.
So when that was my plan, I was following her as my model. I did not have a plan B. And my high school guidance counselor looked at me and he said 5 words. You are not college material.
That seems like the antithesis of a high school guidance counselor. Where is the guidance? That is not okay. I can only imagine what kind of effect that had on you. And like you said, you had just the plan A. So what did you do? What do you do next from that?
I took a deep breath and he told me I should be a Burger King manager. And I'd worked with all my friends. We had the time of my life. I loved the job, but it was a high school job and there were 0 aspirations that I was ever going to be a fast food manager.
Yeah.
And all my friends had their plans. I had big FOMO. I was not going to be left behind. So I took a deep breath and it took a couple of weeks to really process it. And I was devastated. I really, the veil was taken off at that point. I'm like, everybody's right. I am an imposter and I'm not perfect. And look at me now. I really felt that way for a good solid 2 weeks. So I went to the Burger King manager who I knew well because I worked there, and I had a conversation with him. And I still remember, emotional impact moments that we carry so deeply. I still remember how the sky was. I still remember where we stood, and he was just the happiest manager in all the land. He wanted to start me while I was still in high school training. That moved the needle. I walked away and I said, absolutely not. as Rachel Hollis says, we're meant for more. I knew at some level that was not going to work for me. That was not my identity. I could not own that. And I knew that I was made for more. So I walked in the guidance counselor's office. I bypassed the guidance counselor. I guess I asked for an application. Somehow I got it in my hands and I filled it out. I had a single mother at the time. We didn't have the finances. We navigated together, some grants, some loans, financial aid, loans. I don't know. We just did it. And my why was huge. I remember that so well. I was not about to live that prediction for me. So I made it work. And I had to really take on a new identity when I got to college because his voice was in my head along with all the other voices that I had grown up with that I had adopted. So my identity was a party girl. It wasn't an academic college student. That was the furthest thing from my mind is how am I ever going to make this work? I didn't make it work in high school. I squandered my education. I was the life of the party college girl or, high school girl. So I had to adopt a new identity and I had to have a really big why and I made it work.
Wow. That is a lot. In retrospect, we can kind of, breeze through the points, but just getting to know you, we're connected now. You're part of the CLC family, but getting to know you and really active listening, I can tell that is a lot easier said than done. And there are so many women who are listening right now. They're like, wait, let's slow this up. She went from point A, arguably, to like point E, skipping B through D. And we don't have all the time in the world to unpack that, but just, simply, let's see, how do I frame this? If you can, right? Because again, life is what lived forward and understood backwards. If you can, for the people who are there now, they know they need to pivot. They know they need to make a change. They hit a wall. They have their own proverbial guidance counselor in their life that is limiting them externally, right? We've all got our internal things that we're working through, but it somehow, and I'll just speak for myself, it becomes real different. Like I could say something inside my head, and then the moment someone else says it at me, I'm like, oh no, hold up, I'm gonna turn this around. So how, right? Like if you can, and I'm putting you on the spot here because this is what we do. We have candid conversations. How do you bridge that gap, right? Like you activate something in your brain, and then you put something in action in real life. Right? Like if you can, and I don't know, if you can, just kind of go back to that moment because I can guarantee you there's somebody listening right now who's like, that's what I need to do. And I'm so happy for her. She did it, but I don't know what that looks like from my situation, if that makes sense.
I love that question because as a life coach, my goal is to add value and to serve now because I have been blessed to be able to push through so many trials and tribulations in life. So thank you. Goodness gracious. I took it one day at a time and one step at a time because I'll be honest, when I landed on campus, I was so elated to be there. Okay, so here's another piece. I was accepted conditionally. I was not a fully enrolled student. I had to prove myself and get the grades at the end of the semester, or I knew in my mind I was going back home to be a what? Fast food manager. And all my friends had gone to college. My lifeline was my friends at that point, and that wasn't going to happen. So in retrospect, I had a lot of voices to deal with, but my why was so big that I knew I had to adopt a new identity and make the grades that first semester. So it was really a matter of taking it one step at a time. Was it easy? Oh my goodness. I laugh now because I had highlighters of every color. I took notes of my notes. I had all these textbooks. I lived in the library. But see, all my friends, I made a lot of friends and, we make friends in college, right? They're all out weekends, weeknights, having a good time. And I'm like, I had to adopt a new identity, rewrite my story and say no, because if Superman wasn't coming to save me. I knew that it was only me. Superman was not a real character, real person. He was a character and it was up to me. So I just took that first semester, one class at a time, one day at a time, one grade at a time. And it's interesting because I really live my life now, one step at a time. And once we accomplish a small goal, guess what happens? the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the self-talk can start to shift a little bit. Is it magic? Does it happen overnight? No. But we have to put the work in to be able to get to the other side.
That's right.
And that's really what I did. And that's kind of like how I live my life now. I look at the big picture, but I'm like, okay, how am I going to tackle this one by one by one? Because what I realize is we build extreme mental resilience, emotional resilience, a lot of internal strength by setting goals, accomplishing them, checking them off. It can really change our identity, and it certainly can help us to rewrite our story. So that's really what I did in the beginning. It was not easy. I don't want to sugarcoat it at all.
We appreciate that.
Yes. Yes.
And those are the things people need to hear, right? We are now smack in the middle of the age of social media, and there's a lot of instant gratification, instant results. Yes. Oh, I woke up and the next day I had 5 figures in my bank account from one post. It's just a lot of just things out there, and it causes people, especially women and young women, to feel just automatically less than out of the gate. When I was younger in the 90s, we had magazines. That was like the big thing, right? Like, oh, compare yourself to fashion models or whatever. So far removed. And I feel for the people of today, including myself, where everything is just in your face all the time. It's almost inescapable. So we need the real voices of like, hey, listen, it's cool now, and it's maybe less hard than it used to be, but this is some real stuff, and this is what I actually did, and be honest about the timeline and the setbacks, and people because they're going to experience them anyway, and then they're going to feel like, well, what's wrong with me because I'm having challenges? Clearly I'm the issue. Girl, you are not the issue. Okay. The people projecting the false narrative are the issue, and that's not going to go away. So we do our best here to, to combat that and to really try to be the intercessors, right? And fill in those gaps. So thank you. It takes a lot to get on. I was going to say national television, but international internet. to get on the World Wide Web and really put yourself out there for the sake of someone else, right? And that's not easy. You open yourself up, you're like reliving the struggle and all the things, but ultimately it's an investment, right? And the return is helping another woman somewhere in the raise her level of confidence. That's huge.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I want to, that speaks to my soul, because that's who I am now as a life coach. And my niche is helping professional women be able to break through these limiting beliefs, to live their life's purpose and passions. Because I feel so blessed that I've been able to do that, because I could have very easily taken the easy road. That was an option. I mean, he was like, yeah, come on, we'll start you tomorrow. Still in high school. I had an experience yesterday that I wanted to share that was pretty profound. It relates exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so there was a car accident. It wasn't real violent, thank heavens, because, nobody wants to see that. But there was a car accident right outside my window yesterday. And what happened is a gentleman was driving, and then a lady pulled out in front of him. So he smashed right into her. It wasn't terrible, but it was enough to where neither car was drivable. Okay. But the bottom line is, when she was exiting the side road, she didn't stop. And I want to emphasize the word stop. Okay. So what happened is he crashed into her. They ended up taking her on a stretcher. She looked okay, thank heavens, but she was enough precautionary. They were taking her to the hospital. Tow trucks came and had to take both vehicles away, unfortunately. So we got 2 people that can't drive their car. We've got her going to the hospital. They looked a little bit older, very, very stressful in their life. The gentleman that hit her accidentally looked devastated. I was just captivated by this whole entire scene. He went over immediately, checking on her. All the things happened that needed to happen. The police came, the first responders came, the ambulance came. And I'm watching all this thinking, all that happened because, she didn't stop. Well, it was an accident, no judgment. But think about that in terms of our own negative self-talk, all the negative loops that we have going on in our brain, thinking about things that we want to do, things that our dreams, aspirations. I never stopped that negative self-talk. And I've learned recently, there's a program that I went through I hold in high esteem. It's really helping people understand their trauma and how their nervous system reacts. And it's a reset program by Alec Howard. I just adore that man. And I did it with a client together. And he talks about the word stop. Stop the negative loop in your head. We can control our mind. We have the command center to do that.
Yes.
With our own thoughts. And man, I wish back then I had the stop, reframe, redirect, repeat that whole process because it's so damaging. And I was doing nothing but sending out all these negative chemicals, the opposite of the feel-good endorphins and the feel-good hormones, right? I had a ton of cortisol in my body because I just was living in such a negative environment in my own mind.
Wow.
So stop.
Wow. Julie, you've laid something really big. That's a big gem because you can take that in so many different directions, but ultimately we get to the same conclusion, right? Like you said, we are in control. A lot of times, and I've said this before, a lot of people, and I've been there before too, live life as if it's happening to us, as if we don't have any input as to what's going on in our lives, right? Oh, I'm just reactionary. And what you just said is so important because we have the power, right? Like our confidence is so directly linked to our thoughts and our feelings about our own empowerment. And when you feel as if you have, no control over anything, everything, you get just like you said, you get in that negative loop, right? Like, oh, I can't get the job. Oh, I'm single. Oh, I'll never, just on and on and on. Someone else is looking at you thinking, wow, she has everything I've ever imagined. It's everything I'm praying for. But you're in your own house thinking what's not good enough or whatever your flaws are. So when you stop, you can actually, breathe, take account, and you can activate gratitude.
Oh, love that.
And you can really turn it around if you activate gratitude. A girlfriend of mine, she recently said that she is actually more like a sister to me. She said, an attitude of gratitude will always increase your altitude.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Right?
That's beautiful. Because how can you be fearful and anxious and depressed and sad with all that going on when you're being super grateful about your life and all the things that you have? It's the antidote to fear, rejection, that negative loop. But the key is we have to do it consistently. We can't do it once and think it's going to be the magic bullet. It has to be consistent habit, practice in our daily life and our daily routine. It's imperative to be able to shift that negative loop and our I can'ts.
It's like, you ever go to like a fair or an old school arcade? And do you remember they had this game? I'm really cheesy and I love like just funny stuff. Do you ever play that game called Whack-A-Mole?
Oh, yes. I think we called it Pac-Man when I was a kid. Yes.
Well, that's what I just think about. Like with negative thoughts, you just have these things that just like pop up and you have this big like foam padded hammer. You just like smack. Like they pop up all random. And you have to like smack as many as you can in a minute to like get points. That's what I just imagine like with a negative thoughts. He's like whack-a-mole those things. Like, pop them back down because they're going to just pop up randomly. And you've got to be the one to push it down. Like I can't hop into your brain and push them down for you. I can do my best as your friend or your sister or whoever, your support to encourage you, right, externally. But you've got to do the internal work to shut those things down.
100%.
And it's easier some days and much harder on others, right? But like you said, I want to emphasize being consistent, building that muscle, building that skill, however you want to look at it in whatever lens, right? That consistency. And consistency, let me just say really fast, is not a certain prescribed time. Like some people think if they don't do something every single day, they're not consistent, right? Like it just means you've done it periodically. You can change that measurement of time in between, but you haven't stopped, right?
Yes.
So you're doing it consistently where, as you catch it, and sometimes it takes us a while to realize, right, that we're doing it. But ultimately, as you keep doing it, right? And as you make
Yes.
effort, it will become easier and more recognizable. And then you'll start to see it in other people. And you'll be like, is that what I used to sound like? Girl, yes. I'm so glad you are not there anymore.
I love that. It reminds me of Rachel Hollis's book, Girl, Wash Your Face.
Yes.
Love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, true to form, Julie, the time has just flown by. I've so greatly appreciated having this candid conversation with you. And I cannot believe we are here. We are at the time for the final word. So that as our listeners know, this is the time for you to reiterate something you've already shared, or you can drop a new gem on us, something you want us to leave us with, that, will keep us marinated in the back of our mind. So, Julie, it's the final word. What do you have for us?
My final word would be, we don't use our mind as a tool. Our mind uses us. We have the power within us. I didn't come up with this. I just took a course in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that's fascinating to me. So it's from there. Yeah. But it says, we don't use our mind as a tool. Our mind uses us. Wow. We can take back our power.
Wow. I knew you were going to have something profound. I just knew it. I said, she's about to a whole gold mine in this one conversation. But Julie, wow. I cannot thank you enough. Okay. If you're a CLC regular, you've already looked at that description. You're clicking the links. You're like, listen, I need to follow Julie. I need to connect with her. Maybe I need a session. Whatever that looks like, you already know. If you're new here, welcome. Then all you need to do is scroll down on whatever platform you're listening to this episode on. And we have all the ways for you to plug in to the Crown Level Confidence community, and also to follow, like, subscribe, book, whatever you need to do to get closer to my new girlfriend, Julie Duncan. She has just been phenomenal. Like I told you she was. She blessed us, dropped so many gems. Like, I can make a whole new tiara out of the gems she just dropped in this conversation, okay?
But, I want one if you do.
Awesome. Yes, her website is on here, julieduncancoaching.com. We've got her Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just blow her up in all the positive ways. If she's touched you, which I'm sure she has, go ahead and message her. Now, we're not about spam or being creepy in this community. You guys already know this, but whatever it is, if she's touched you in some sort of way, leave a comment. Reach out to her personally. I'm sure she would greatly appreciate it, because I know, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to give you your flowers right now in front of everyone. Julie, this has been amazing. Every episode, I always say we're touching a woman worldwide, and I like to think I'm the first one. Okay, so you've blessed me personally, so I am 100% sure that there is another woman out there that is just taking all kinds of notes, screenshots, whatever she's going to do to reach out to you, because you have made an impact here, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Kalia. I'm always honored to share, and honestly, I wake up with gratitude every single day, because I was really blessed to be able to make these transformations, but it's been decades in the making. It didn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. So to be able to share and help other people now, it's my mission really to empower women to live their life purpose, as I said. And so I'm always honored to share.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, that's been this latest episode of Crown Level Confidence, where we're leading women worldwide to lower their stress and raise their levels of confidence. I'm your favorite podcast host, Kalia Janae, and stay tuned for some announcements. Y'all, I love you, and more importantly, I'm so grateful that you love me too. See you next time. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Crown Level Confidence Podcast. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will help you on your path to unstoppable confidence. Remember, you have the power within you to achieve greatness and transform your life. Stay connected by subscribing to the podcast and following us on social media. If you're interested in being a featured guest on the show and sharing your journey of confidence and self-belief, visit KaliaJanae.com to connect with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories, and I'm always excited to meet and showcase remarkable individuals, so don't hesitate to reach out. For details on speaking engagements, mindset coaching, or having a workshop in your office, Again, head over to my website, kaliadene.com. And don't forget to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and inspire others to wear their crowns proudly. All right, y'all. Keep shining, keep believing, and keep leveling up. Until next time, wear your crown with pride and confidence. Take care.